Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. This is lecture number 11 and we are going to study the methods of dimensional analysis. Okay. Uh, there are two methods of the dimensional analysis. One is known as the Rayleigh's procedure and other is known as Buckingham-White theorem. Rayleigh's procedure was introduced by a person named Rayleigh and Buckingham-White theorem was introduced by a person named Buckingham. Therefore, the methods are known according to their names. And remember that there are some limitations of the Rayleigh's procedure due to which Buckingham-White theorem was introduced, and Buckingham-White theorem is the most famous methods of dimensional analysis as compared to the Rayleigh's procedure. So let's take a start and see that how can we do analysis with the help of these two methods. Let's suppose that we have this kind of problem statement. Derive an expression for a drag force on a sphere moving in a viscous fluid by both the methods of dimensional analysis. Okay, let's suppose that we are the first one who want to derive a mathematical expression for a drag force. Now, what is a drag force? You can study drag force in detail in chapter number 10 of your Franzini book. Drag force is actually a resistive force offered by a fluid. For example, a sphere or any other body is moving in a fluid with a particular velocity. The fluid will definitely offer resistance to that body due to its density and due to its viscosity. The resistive force offered by fluid to the moving object is known as a drag force. Okay, the formulas for the drag force are already developed and you can study all these things in very detail in chapter number 10. But let's suppose at this moment we assume that there is no mathematical expression for the drag force and we are the first one who are going to develop a formula for the drag force. Okay, first of all, we will check Rayleigh's procedure. In case of the Rayleigh's procedure, the very first step is to think about the parameters that will be involved in your problem. Uh, you are going to develop a formula for the drag force, so you must think about that which physical parameters can be involved in the formula of the drag force, or you will think about that what are the parameters on which the drag force will depend upon. Okay, remember that this is not an easy job because a person who is expert in his study area will be able to define and think about these parameters exactly, but even he sometimes can do mistakes. If a person, for example, let's suppose there are 4 or 5 parameters are involved and a person selects so many parameters, let's suppose 10 or 15 parameters, then there is no problem because uh, this is the importance of the analysis, this is the significance of the analysis, that it can omit the unnecessary parameters. Okay, unnecessary parameters which can be selected arbitrarily can be omitted by means of the analysis as well as by means of the experiment. So first of all, let us think about what parameters can be involved. You can think about this, that okay, first of all, let's look at the definition. In this method, a functional relationship between dependent and independent parameters is made. Okay, what are the dependent parameters and what are the independent parameters? In this case, in our problem statement, the dependent parameter is a drag force, and we will think about that on which parameters the drag force depend upon. That will be independent parameters, and we will develop a relationship between these dependent and independent parameters like this. Y is a function of x1, x2, x3 and so on to xn, where y is a dependent parameter and all these are the independent parameters. Okay, so first of all, step number one, in step number one we will think about the dependent and the independent parameters. Dependent parameters, of course, the drag force for which you want to develop a formula, and what are the independent parameters? You can see here I have written 4 parameters. Number 1, velocity of the sphere. Of course, drag force will depend upon the velocity of the sphere, the diameter of the sphere which is moving in the fluid. What's the diameter? It's the size of the sphere. Okay, and density of the fluid and dynamic viscosity of the fluid. So these are the 4 parameters on which drag force can depend upon. Okay, density and viscosity is very important because they define the viscosity of the fluid, and the fluid offer resistance to the moving object due to its density, due to its viscosity. So the last 2 parameters are very important for the fluid, and these 2 parameters are very important for the object moving within the fluid. So these are the 4 parameters which can be involved while deriving an expression for the drag force. But once again, I want to tell you that a person who's quite experienced in his or her study area will be able to define these parameters. For you people, when this kind of problem will be given to you, all the dependent and independent parameters will also be given to you. Okay. So if an expert person, even let's suppose that there are 4 parameters involved here, and an expert person, an expert scientist, let's suppose mistakenly get 6 or 7 parameters, so how he will get rid of the extra parameters? It will be omitted automatically by means of the analysis or by means of the experiments which he will do at the end of the analysis. Okay, remember that this dimensional analysis is not only responsible for developing a formula. Once you get the result of the dimensional analysis, then on the basis of the results of the dimensional analysis, the experiments are performed, and with the help of the experiments, the formulas are developed. Okay. So this is the very first step. We will think about the dependent and the independent parameters, which we have already discussed here. Dependent parameter is a drag force, and independent parameters are the velocity, diameter, density, and viscosity. Step number 2, we will develop the functional relationship between dependent and independent parameters. You can see here that drag force is a function of velocity, dia, density, and viscosity. Number 3 step, in third step, what you are going to do, you are going to introduce a dimensionless constant, say K. Okay, this is a dimensionless constant. I have denoted it by means of K. It has no dimension. So you have to introduce a dimensionless constant, and you have to introduce the exponents on each of the independent parameter. A, B, C, and D. Okay, so I have introduced these parameters here for all of the independent parameters. So I have got equation number 1. Then what is step number 4? In step number 4, we will put the fundamental dimension of each parameter. What are the fundamental dimensions? Mass, length, and time. These are the fundamental dimensions, and we have to put the fundamental dimensions of all these parameters of equation number 1. So how you can do it? First of all, let's suppose this is the drag force. Simply this is a force, and we know that the unit of the force is Newton, where Newton is equal to kg meter per square second. Kg is mass, meter is length, and square of second is square of the time. So the fundamental dimension of force is ml divided by square of t. Similarly, for viscosity, we know that its unit is Newton second per square meter, and the unit is kg meter per square second. So making it simplify, we get this fundamental dimension m divided by L into t. Okay, if you remember the units of the parameters, you can easily find the fundamental dimension of all the parameters. Okay. So we have to put the fundamental dimension of all the parameters. We have already derived that for force, the fundamental dimension is ml divided by square of t. We have put the value here. And what is this? K. K is dimensionless. For K, I have put the value m naught L naught divided by T naught, because I know that it comes to 1. Since K is a constant value, it has no dimension. Therefore, it is up to you. You can even ignore the dimension of K, or you can write it like this: 0, 0, and 0 with powers. Okay. Then you can see we have velocity. Velocity, what's the unit of velocity? It is meter per second, means length divided by time. So L divided by T with power A. Similarly, this is the diameter. The unit of diameter is meters, means length unit. So here I have written L with power B. This is the density. Density is equal to mass per unit volume, or kg per cubic meter. So it is m divided by cube of L with power C, and this is the fundamental dimension of the viscosity. So this is how, with the help of the formula or with the help of the unit, you can define and write the fundamental dimension of all the dependent and independent parameters. Okay. Now what is step number 5? In step number 5, we will obtain the relationship between powers. How we will obtain the relationship between powers? First of all, we will check that what is the relationship between the powers of m, then powers of L, and then powers of T. So first of all, let us look at power of m. Here you can see its power is 1. Okay, so we will write that 1 is equal to 0. Here in this term, the power of m is 0. 0 plus no m here, no m here. Here its power is c. Okay, so we will write here 1 is equal to 0 plus c plus d. Okay, here its power is c and here its power is d. So you can see here 1 is equal to 0 plus c plus d. This is equation number 2. Similarly, you will get the relationship between the powers of L and the relationship between the powers of T. Let us look at the relationship between the powers of L. Here, the power of L is 1. So we will say 1 is equal to 0 plus A plus B minus 3C. Here you can see L is in the denominator. So its power will be minus 3C and minus D. So this is the relationship between the powers of L. And now we will get the relationship between the powers of T. Here its power is minus 2. Okay, because it is in the denominator. So minus 2 is equal to 0 minus A minus D. So we have got 3 equations. Equation number 2, 3, and 4. Okay, and now what we are going to do in step number 6, we will solve these equations to get the value of the powers. From equation number 2, you can get the value of, let's suppose C. C is equal to 1 minus D. Okay, you can see here C is equal to 1 minus D. So I have got the value of C in terms of D. Now you will get the value of A and B in terms of D also. Okay, solving the above equation, and you will get these results. C is equal to 1 minus D, A is equal to 2 minus D, and B is equal to 2 minus D. So I have got the values of the power A, B, and C in terms of D. So it is up to you. You can get even the value of, for example, A, B, and D in terms of C. It is up to you. ठीक है, आप किसी भी terms में ये values जो हैं वो find out कर सकते हैं. Here you can see that what was the problem? The problem was this, that we have the maximum available equations. We have 3 because we have only 3 fundamental dimensions, M, L, and T. So the available equations are 3. But the unknowns were 4. You can see A, B, C, and D. There were 4 unknowns and 3 available equations. That's why we have got the value of A, B, and C in terms of B. Okay, available equations are less as compared to the unknown. Therefore, one of the term D remains unknown in this case. Okay, now you will put the value of A, B, and C in equation number 1 here. Okay, you will put the value of A, B, and C in equation number 1, and let us look at the equation how it gets. This is the equation. Okay, drag force is equal to, this is the dimensionless constant K, V power A, and what's the value of A? A is equal to 2 minus D. This is the power of B, again 2 minus D. This is the power of C, 1 minus D, and this is the D, unknown value. Okay, now we will make it simplify. You can see here that K into V, I'm going to split V in two terms, V square and V power minus D. So you can see here K into V square into D square into density, and all the parameters with power D comes here. You can see here mu power D divided by V into D into rho with power D. Okay, so this is the simplified form of the equation, but here you can see that this B is still unknown value. Okay, okay, now if you look at this at these parameters closely, you will come to know that this is a sort of the Reynolds number. You can arrange these parameters to form the Reynolds number like this: 1 divided by rho Vd divided by viscosity, and this comes to Reynolds number. So this is what is this? 1 divided by Reynolds number with power D. Okay, now what is this? 1 divided by Reynolds number with power D. It shows you that there is something that is a function of the Reynolds number here in this expression. Okay, and we have to derive that. For a time being, what we are going to write, we will write that drag force is equal to K into square of V into square of D into density into function of the Reynolds number. Means this term, we don't know that what this term is exactly, but we know that it shows us something about the function of the Reynolds number. Okay, this is, what is this? This is a sign of the function of a Reynolds number. So this is a required relationship, okay, in which there are two unknown things. Okay, this is the required relationship, or this is the required formula which we wanted to develop, and in this formula two things are required to be determined: what is the value of K and what is this function of Reynolds number. In this expression, these two things are unknown, which we can find by means of the experiments. I already told you that for any particular problem, first of all, you have to do the analysis, and then on the basis of the results of the analysis, we do the experiments, and experiments finalize the shape of the formula. Okay, so what is this K and what is this function of the Reynolds number? You will be able to know all these things with the help of the experiments. Okay, remember that what's the check, that have you done this analysis correctly or not. Here you have a check. If you look at this, drag force divided by K into, like this, drag force divided by K into square of V into square of D into square of density is equal to function of Reynolds number, then your both sides should be dimensionless. We know that Reynolds number is a dimensionless number, but this should also be dimensionless. Okay, if both the sides are dimensionless, it means that there is no problem in your analysis. You have done everything correctly and you can go ahead. But if you find here that you are getting some dimension, it means that you have done some mistake. You can go back and you can check your analysis that where you have done the mistake. Okay, okay, now look at the actual formula for the drag force, which is in your chapter number 10 of Franzini book. This is the actual formula for the sphere moving through the fluid. Drag force is equal to Cf into rho into V square by 2 into A. Okay, let us make it simplify. We know that what is area? Area of the sphere is equal to pi by 4 into square of D, and you can further make it simplify. D square को आप बाहर निकालें, 2 को अंदर ले आए, तो so it will be pi by 8. Okay, now this is the actual formula. In this actual formula you can see that what is this pi by 8? This is a constant term. Okay, this is the constant term which we have introduced in terms of k. You can see here we have introduced a term k. So here pi by 8 is actually equal to k. And what is this CF? This CF, which is known as the coefficient of drag force, is actually a function of the Reynolds number. If you check the formula, that how can you find the coefficient of drag force, you will find that the formula for coefficient of drag force contains the Reynolds number. Once you know the Reynolds number, you will able to find the coefficient of the drag force, then you will put it here and then you will find the drag force. So this is the actual formula which shows you that this term is the function of the Reynolds number and this term is the constant term. Okay, and you will be able to get all these values, these constant terms and these functions of the Reynolds number on the basis of the experiments which you will perform. So this is all about the release procedure. Release procedure has one of the limitation. What's the limitation? The limitation is this, that we have only 3 available equations. Okay, so what if we have, let's suppose here we had only 4 parameters, v, d, rho and mu. You can see here we had only 4 parameters and 4 unknowns, a, b, c and d. So we were able to find the values of a, b and c in terms of d. Now what will happen if, let's suppose, you have number of parameters in your problem. For example, you have 8 or 10 independent parameters. Then what are you going to do? Drag force is equal to velocity, dia, density, viscosity, this with lot of powers, a, b, c, d, e, f, g, h, i, j. Then how you will get the value of all these unknown exponents, because you have only 3 available equations. Okay, so here you have got the value of a, b, c in terms of d. Let's suppose if I introduce one more parameter, then what you are going to do, you will get the value of a, b and c in terms of d and e, for example. So your unknown values will be increasing. The only problem will be your calculation. It will be complicated, it will be laborious, and it will be quite difficult for you to solve these kind of problems. So in order to, this is the limitation of the release procedure. Okay, release procedure is not good when we have so many parameters involved in our particular problem. So how can we solve this problem? We can solve this problem by means of the Buckingham Pi theorem, which we are going to discuss. This is the, and okay, here I have written limitation of release procedure. Analysis becomes complicated when there are more than 4 independent parameters. And why? Because we have only 3 available equations. Okay, so this is all about today's lecture. We are also going to discuss the next chapter, the next lecture, which is in the continuation of this lecture. So the problem is solved by Buckingham Pi theorem. Okay, the limitation of release procedure or the problem of release procedure is solved by the Buckingham Pi theorem. But in case of the Buckingham Pi theorem, we divide parameters into different groups, and then we have different available equations, and the problem is solved because we do not have the problem that the parameters are larger as compared to the or the parameters are greater as compared to the available equation. So we get rid of this problem. So in case of Buckingham Pi theorem, if we solve the same problem by Buckingham Pi theorem, let us check that how we can do it. Again, you have the same problem that a sphere is moving in a fluid and you have to find the drag force on the sphere. So what you are going to do, first of all, you have to identify all the parameters that will affect the hydraulic phenomena. So here we have the same parameters: drag force, density, dia, viscosity, velocity and viscosity. Okay, step number 2, we will group the parameters. We will see that which parameters are dependent and which are independent parameters. So dependent parameter is the drag force and all the others are independent parameters. Step number 3, we will write the fundamental dimensions of all these parameters which we have already discussed in release procedure. For drag force, it is ml divided by t square and so on. You can see here that we have written the fundamental dimension of all these parameters. Okay. Okay, remember that how many total parameters you have: 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. The total dependent and independent parameters. The total independent and dependent parameters is 5. And how many fundamental dimensions you have in this particular problem? You can see you have M, L, and T, all the fundamental dimensions. Okay, remember that these are the maximum fundamental dimensions are only 3: M, L, and T. You can have less than 3 fundamental dimensions in any particular problem. For example, you are going to develop a formula for a particular case where no force is involved. So if there is no force involved, then there will be no mass, and you will be left with L and T only. So in that case, you will say that for this particular problem, we have only 2 dimensions, L and T. But in this case, we have all the 3 dimensions. So remember once again how many parameters we have. The total parameters we have are 5. And what are the fundamental dimensions? The maximum fundamental dimensions we have M, L, and T. So in the next step, you will find the number of the pi terms. What is the pi terms? This analysis is known as Buckingham pi theorem. Okay, I have already told you that in this analysis we will divide parameters into different groups or into different terms, and these groups are known as the pi groups or pi terms. So we will check that how many groups or how many pi terms can we have in this analysis. So number of pi terms is equal to number of parameters minus number of fundamental units. How many parameters we have? We have total 5 parameters. Okay, drag force, velocity, dia, density, and viscosity. We have 5 parameters, and how many fundamental units we have for this particular problem? We have 3 fundamental units. So 5 minus 3 is equal to 2. It means that we will make 2 pi groups for this particular problem. Okay, 2 pi groups or 2 pi terms, and we will place our parameters in these 2 pi groups. So this is how you can find the number of pi groups or the number of pi terms. This is the formula: number of total parameters minus number of the fundamental units. Okay, and then how you will find the number of the repeating parameters. What are the repeating parameters? I'm going to tell you in the next step. फिलहाल आप ये देखिए कि how can we find the number of repeating parameters. Remember that the number of repeating parameters is equal to number of fundamental dimensions in your particular problem. Here you have 3 fundamental units, M, L, and T. So the repeating parameters will be equal to 3. Okay, and now in step number 6, we will form the pi groups and we will define the repeating parameters as well. Okay, step number 6, you can see here that we have 2 pi terms, pi 1 and pi 2, or you can say that we have 2 groups, pi 1 and pi 2. Okay, and we have only 5 parameters. We have to place these 5 parameters in both the groups. How we will divide parameters in both these groups? Remember that the dependent parameter, in this case drag force is the dependent parameter, it should be placed in group number 1. Okay, in first pi group, it should be in the first pi group. Here we can write drag force, that is in pi1 group, and then we will left with only independent parameters, that is the density, velocity, dia and viscosity. Of these four parameters, we have to repeat three parameters in both the groups. You can see here I have repeated density, velocity and dia in pi group number 1 and in group number 2 as well. I was left with viscosity only, so I placed viscosity in group number 2, of course. Okay, the important thing is this, that how you will select that which parameters are the repeating parameters. Here we have already got that the number of repeating parameters should be equal to 3. We know that we have to repeat 3 parameters in these two pi groups. But what are that parameters? Remember that once you place the dependent parameter in the first group, you are left with the 4 parameters, and the 4 independent parameters. Of these 4 parameters, you have to repeat the 3 parameters. So it is up to you. You can arbitrarily select any 3 parameters as the repeating parameters. Okay, I have written here rho, v and d. Even you can write here mu, v and d. If you will repeat mu, v and d, mu, v and d, then here you will write density. Okay, here you will write the rho. One of the non-repeating parameters should be here. So the selection of the repeating parameters is arbitrarily. However, in one of a very good book, I studied that the repeating parameters should be from different fields. For example, it is better to select the parameters, one from the geometry of the problem, one from the kinematics of the problem, and other from the mass of the problem. So you can see here that what is this diameter? This defines the geometry of your problem, okay? Because it is the size of the sphere which is moving in the fluid, and velocity is of course kinematic, and this rho is the density of the fluid. So these 3 parameters are quite different from each other. Okay, and I have selected these 3 parameters which are independent. They are not even closely dependent upon each other. So better to select parameters in such a way that they are from different fields. If, for example, your repeating parameters are density, viscosity and velocity, you will be able to know that density and viscosity both are the properties of the fluid, and that are very close property, because viscosity of the fluid depends upon its density. Greater the density, greater will be the viscosity. Density and viscosity are close parameters, physical parameters of the fluid, so better to not select both of them as the repeating parameters. Okay, this can be your selection. This is just a tactic to select the repeating parameters. However, once again, if a person select wrong repeating parameters, then there's no problem, because analysis will help in making the things right, and experiment will also lead you to the correct direction. So this is not even a big problem, but we try to solve these things easily here, because it makes our calculation work and it makes our experimental work quite easy. And for examination point of view, remember that the repeating parameters will be given to you. It will be given to you that consider all these parameters and take density, velocity and diameter as the repeating parameters. So it will be given to you. Okay, the further procedure is same. We will put the fundamental dimension of all these parameters in equation number 1 and in equation number 2. What is pi 1? Pi 1 has no dimension. Therefore, you can see here for pi 1, I have written here m naught L naught divided by T naught, and then I have written the dimension. Okay, one thing important, we have to give exponents to the repeating parameters only. You can see here a1, b1, c1, a2, b2, c2. So I have given exponents to the repeating parameters only. There should be no exponent for the non-repeating parameter. And then you have put the fundamental dimensions of all these parameters. For pi 1 it is m naught L naught divided by T naught is equal to density. Density is equal to kg per cubic meter, means it is m divided by cube of L with power a1. And in this way you will put the fundamental dimension for pi group number 1 and the fundamental dimensions of pi group number 2, and then you will obtain relationship between powers for each group. For example, for pi 1 you will obtain relationship between the powers by the same method as we did in Rayleigh's procedure. First of all, for you have to obtain the relationship for powers of m. We know that here it is 0 is equal to a1 plus 1. No m here, no m here, and here its power is 1. So 0 is equal to a1 plus 1. You can see here 0 is equal to a1 plus 1. Similarly, you will obtain relationship between the powers of L and between the powers of T for pi group number 1. And similarly, you will do the same procedure for pi 2. You will obtain the relationship between the powers of their fundamental units, and then you will solve the equation to find the value of these exponents. For pi 1, we have a1 is equal to -1, b1 is equal to -2, c1 is equal to -2. And similarly, for pi 2, you will get the value of a2, b2, c2, and you will put all these values in equation number 1. So equation number 1 and equation number 2. Okay, we have got the values of a1, b1, c1, a2, b2, c2. So you will put the values of these powers in equation number 1 and equation number 2. Here you can see I have put the value rho -1, v -2, d -2 into drag force. So we can make it simplified: drag force divided by rho into square of v into square of d. This is your pi 1 group. Okay, pi 1 is equal to this. Similarly, putting the value for pi 2 parameters, and you will get this mu divided by rho into v into d. So you have only two pi groups, pi 1 and pi 2. Now you can write here pi 1 is a function of pi 2. Okay, pi 1 is a function of pi 2, putting the values of pi 1 here and pi 2 here, and you will get the same expression as you got in case of the Rayleigh's procedure. Once again, you can see here that this is a kind of the Reynolds number. So you can arrange the parameters and you can write here that it is a function of the Reynolds number. So fd is equal to rho into square of v into square of d, and this is somewhat a function of the Reynolds number, which we have already got, that this is actually the coefficient of the drag force, which depends upon the Reynolds number. So again, you can see that we have developed an expression with the help of the analysis in which this term function of Reynolds number is required to be determined experimentally. So in the end of the analysis, you have to perform experiments for further investigation and finalizing the shape of your formula. In this case, you can see that there is no constant term. We had introduced a constant term k in case of the Rayleigh's procedure, but here we do not have any constant term. But it doesn't make any difference, because while performing an experiment, if you get any constant term, you can introduce it in your formula. Okay, and this is not hard and fast rule that every formula has the constant term. Rayleigh's procedure introduce a constant term k, but sometimes in your formula you find that there is actually no constant term. So the dimensionless constant k is omitted in the Rayleigh's procedure also in that case. So that's not a big deal. However, the limitation of the Rayleigh's procedure is overcome by the Buckingham pi theorem. Here you can see that we do not have any problem of the unknown parameters. Why? Because in this case, we divide parameters into different groups, and then for each group we have three available equations. You can see here that we had three available equations for pi 1 and three available equations for pi 2. So we had 6 unknowns and 6 available equations: a1, b1, c1, A2, B2, C2. We had 6 unknown values and we had 6 available equations. So this problem has been solved by Buckingham Pi theorem. You can even you can even include 10 or 15 or 20 parameters for your particular problem, and you can easily find the exponent of all these parameters by dividing into different groups. Okay, so this was all about the Buckingham Pi theorem. In the end, once again, we will discuss what is the importance of the dimensional analysis. Number one, it eliminates the unnecessary variables. I already told you, for example, if a person is, if let's suppose if a person selects 7 or 8 parameters instead of 2 or 3 important parameters, then what is going to do? What is going to be happen? The unnecessary parameters will be automatically eliminated with the help of the analysis and with the help of the experiments. Number two, it makes the group of variables. Okay, it makes these kind of the groups, which shows you that if both the terms are, if both the sides are dimensionless, it means that there is no problem in your analysis. Number three, it avoids unnecessary experiments. Yes, it avoids the unnecessary experiments. How it avoids the unnecessary experiments? Okay, I'm going to tell you. Uh, okay, here. Let's suppose that you do not know the method of the dimensional analysis, okay, and you want to develop a formula. You know that these are the important parameters involved in this problem, that is drag force, rho, d, v, and nu. So what you are going to do, you have to find the effect of these parameters, these 4 parameters, on the drag force. So how you will find the effect of these 4 parameters on the drag force? First of all, okay, remember, since you have 4 independent parameters, you will perform 4 sets of experiment. In the first set of experiment of these 4 independent parameters, you will hold 3 parameters as constant and you will change 1 parameter and will check the effect of the changing that parameter on the drag force. For example, you will hold density, dia, and velocity as constant term. You will only change the viscosity of the fluid and you will check that how it affects the drag force. Let's suppose you perform 50 or 100 experiments for this. Then in the second set of experiment, you will hold density, dia, and viscosity as the constant term, and you will change the velocity of the sphere again and again to change that how it affects the drag force. Again, you are going to perform number of experiments. In the third set of experiment, you will hold density, velocity, and viscosity as constant term. You will change the dia of the sphere and you will check its effect on the drag force. So you are going to perform the experiment again and again. Okay, but once you do the analysis shows you that drag force depends upon the, here you can see that all these parameters depend upon the Reynolds number. So the analysis shows you that you can perform an experiment in which you have to change the Reynolds number only. Okay, and changing the Reynolds number will show you that how the drag force is changed with the changing Reynolds number. So it becomes quite easy to change the Reynolds number. Even we know that Reynolds number is equal to velocity into dia divided by viscosity. Reynolds number has 3 parameters: velocity, dia, and viscosity. Of these 3 parameters, you can change any one of them and your Reynolds number will be changed. So I will suggest to not change the dia of the sphere. Dia of the sphere means you have to take at least 50 or 100 spheres of different sizes. So it will not be convenient for you. what if you change the viscosity? Viscosity of the fluid is also not convenient because you have to change your fluid again and again. So I will suggest you to change the velocity of the sphere, and that will change the Reynolds number, and you will be able to check that how changing the Reynolds number affects the drag force. Okay, so it's important that it avoid unnecessary experiments. Okay, without analysis you have to perform 600 or 700 experiments even for a very simple problem, but once you do the analysis it shows you the right direction, that what should be the number of experiments and in which direction you should go. Number four, it saves your time and money. Of course, it saves your time and money if you are going to perform 500 or 600 sets of experiment, and on the other side you are going to perform only 50 or 100 experiments. So it is saving your time and money. Thinking and planning for performing experiment analysis helps you in thinking that what parameters should be involved. It already omits the unnecessary parameters, so it gives you an idea, it gives you a plan how to perform the experiments. And number six, which is very important, it helps in making models. Okay, once you comes to know that the your problem is dependent upon the Reynolds number, then it becomes quite easy for you to make your model dynamically similar to its prototype. Because if it is dependent upon Reynolds number, you should try that the Reynolds number for your prototype and model should be same. That will be quite easy experiment, that will be quite easy analysis, and this is how the dimensional analysis helps you in making models for your experiments too. Okay, so this was all about the dimensional analysis, the methods of the dimensional analysis which we have discussed in our this class, and this was the end of today's lecture. Any question? अगर कुछ है तो बता दें, उसके बाद हम अच्छा बॉयज एक बात और है आप लोगों को जस्ट अ मिनट में ये पहले रिकॉर्डिंग बंद कर दूं